everyone. I am 𝐸𝐴𝐻, founder of Jolt Your Career. And if you frequently watch me go live, you know the deal. Go ahead and drop where you're tuning in from in the comments. If you're watching this on replay, put that hashtag replay on there, because if you have any questions or want us to come back and answer anything after the fact, we're here to do that for you. Today I'm really excited talking about this topic of elements of a successful job search when it comes to mindset, because so often that's what trips people up. I mean, I work with ambitious professionals every single day, and with just a couple of small tweaks here and there is typically what gets them over that hump. So today I am bringing on a very special guest. So let me find this button and bring her on. Hey! All right, Jenea. So go ahead and introduce yourself, talk about your business, and then we will jump into this topic.
Okay, I'm Jenea Frederick. I'm a career fulfillment coach. I help professional moms fully transition to careers they love, making the pay they desire without having to go back to school or experiencing ghosting. I am the CEO of Heart My Career. I believe in mindset and strategy to get you to the job that you desire.
Yes. And that's exactly what everybody's here for, right? We want to make sure that our career is aligned with our values. I know that's something you only work with moms, and I work with everybody.
Yes, everybody.
And it's interesting because it's like, I'm a mom, and I see the things that I struggle with in my own business, and I sit here and I work with these badass women, and I'm thinking like, man, I'm so proud of them for actually doing it. And I see how sometimes like that introvert in me or that lack of confidence in me will sometimes get me, and I have to be like, stop that. And it's like sometimes our mind is our worst enemy. So I was thinking about our topic today, and so it's elements of a successful job search. And I came up with 3 main things. And so the first one was that I see like that my clients struggle with is recognizing your value.
Yes.
So
yes.
Tell me about that. Like we work with kind of different demographics of people. Like moms are just very different, like mom, different souls than anybody else. And it's no shock to any woman who's not a mom. It's just things change when you got mouths to feed. Like even if you're a dog mom, if you're a cat mom, you know, like, okay, like I want to make sure like you got your Easter basket ready with something for your dog and cat. That takes money, and it also takes, you know, positive energy to be around you, to make sure that you're doing the best for whoever it is you're responsible for. So it's an extra pressure. And I feel like when we get discouraged, it hits us a little different compared to like men who are like, well, fuck them. They're the ones with the problem. I'm the shit.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me, how can women or men recognize their value so they can confidently go into the job search knowing I've got these analytical abilities, I've got the critical thinking skills, I'm fantastic when it comes to whatever else it may be that makes them qualified for the job?
So one thing I always tell my clients is to learn to start speaking positive over themselves. Like a lot of times we tell ourselves, like you said at the beginning, our mind is the worst enemy. We have to start paying attention to what we are actually telling ourselves. A lot of times we tell ourselves like we're not good enough. Maybe somebody else could do it better, or that just happened on an accident. And especially when they have kids, we want to make sure our kids we want them to be better than us. So we set the standards as, oh, I'm building this life for my child, and I'm making sure my child will see that I never gave up. But actually, they see that you never went for what you actually wanted.
Yeah.
They see that you settled in a job and never went for your career.
It's interesting that you bring that up because I'm saying good morning to everybody. Um,
Good morning,
because
everybody.
yeah, I'm gonna bring everybody up instead of looking down. Okay, it's interesting that you bring that up because my mom was a makeup artist for Christian Dior, and then she transitioned into the shoe industry and became a sales rep. And she traveled a lot. Like she hustled to make sure
Yes.
we have food on the table and that we got to experience certain hobbies that helped cultivate certain values that she wanted to ensure that we possessed. And it wasn't until this year when she finally decided, like, no, I'm going to do this and I'm going to change careers. Because she was forced to, right? COVID, like everything really
Mm.
slowed down and sales conventions stopped. The money wasn't there when you work, a decent base salary, but primarily commission. And she's finally out here living her dreams. And I love seeing that. Like, she'd kill me if I said how old she was. Like, hey, mom. But she's actually doing it. And it's so funny because she went from being a shoe salesperson to now she sells horse semen. And so she loves horses, has always loved horses. And now it's like, okay, now she's selling breeding rights and contributing to a hobby that she loves so much. And before, where it was like, well, this is seasonal work, this might not be financially stable. Like, I don't think that my kids would be
Yes.
proud of this. All of these things that
That's a
women
mindset.
have in their mind. Like, mom, no, I just want you to be happy. I'm not
Yeah.
embarrassed of what you're doing.
Okay.
Like, you get to travel the world. Like, you're going to Dubai, you're going to Paris, you're doing all of these things. Like, couldn't you have done this when I was little? But anyways, let's
Yes.
say good morning to some of my favorite moms in the comments. So, this is Kelly. Kelly is amazing. She works in
Okay.
philanthropic things. So, like, how there's forest preserves and stuff? She's the one that makes that happen in our community. So, Kelly, I appreciate you.
Yes.
And we got Crystal, who I am so excited for Crystal because she is such a badass mom and just so hard going, crushing after her dreams right now. I always see her posting different things in tech, which is so exciting. And we got some other people in here who are not moms. So, hey, Jose. Hey, Ford. So there's lots of people in the comments this morning. So thank you for being here. We're excited for the conversation. If you have any questions or if you're struggling with anything, go ahead and drop a comment or send us a DM if you want something to be talked about privately. And we even got, okay, so I've never done Paris before, but let's see. Is Monique Green one of your friends?
No.
It says
Yes.
Paris.
Yes, Miss
Okay,
Monique.
okay. Perfect. So yeah, so that's cool because in the past it wasn't working. So I'm glad to see that you're live on your
Yes.
channel too.
Yeah.
So yes, okay. So talking about our value first. So oftentimes in marketing and sales, to figure out what your value proposition is, I helped. So who's your target audience?
Yes.
And then what do you do? How do you do it? And what is the value in that? Right. So, if you're struggling to figure out what your value is, my recommendation is to write it down. Think about what you enjoy first. Because if we think about what we like, even if we're just pulling at the strings of finding one thing that we like, then the positive juices start flowing.
Yes.
And then we can eventually find, even if we're in a pretty low place, can find what we are good at doing. Like,
Yes. Yes.
and then we stop thinking about just push what you're not good at doing out for a second and come up with a list of things you're good at doing. And if you're not sure how, go to my featured section. I've got a career clarity workbook that talks about what your values are, what your likes and dislikes are, what factors you need to think about from an external and internal perspective, and you
Yes.
can create a SWOT analysis for yourself. And this is all things that we just as human beings need to do regular check-ins with to understand
Yes.
where we're at now. Okay, so then
Yes.
the second thing that I thought about, so like, yeah, we need to know our value, because if we can't articulate our value on the job search, no one's going to hire us because
Yes.
they're
Yep.
hiring us to solve a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
You
the
gotta know
second,
who you are and what you stand for and
yeah,
what you bring to the table. That's what I always say. So that's absolutely correct.
yep, awesome. And I love that you so confidently articulate what you bring to the table. Like, you want to work with moms, and I think that that's amazing. So, the next thing that I thought about is like the time. I work with so many people on a volunteer basis at church, at a domestic abuse shelter, um, at the library, and sometimes online too. Like in the Job Connections Tuesday Collective, we do coaching every Friday for free. We all just volunteer our time for it. And something I found interesting is that a lot of people say they want a new career. They want a career that makes them feel personally fulfilled and financially stable and feel like pride that they're professionally successful, whatever that means for them. But then they don't put in the time. And so, talk to me about that. Like, sometimes people get so overwhelmed with, oh, I got a job search 24/7 and I'm working full time and I got kids and I don't have any time to myself anyways. How do you find the time to do a job search so you can actually have a career that fulfills you?
See, the thing I tell my clients is the bulk of your job search is actually discovering you. So once you get clear on you, the bulk that's should be 75%. I could even raise it up 90% of your job search. Because once you're clear on yourself, know what you bring to the table, who you are, what your non-negotiables are, knowing what your interest is, how much you want to get paid, all that. Once you're clear on that, then you could be able to go for a job hunt, because now you're looking from a perspective of inner than outer. I just want to, and then I want to add on to what you said about looking for your interests by looking at your value sheet. You could also go around and pay attention to what ticks you off during the day. When like something piss you off, be like, what pissed me off? And then be like, why it pissed me off. Because the why is your value. If something piss you off, don't focus on the person or the situation. Focus on the why it pissed you off, and that's your value. Your value will come up. Maybe you want it to be appreciated. Maybe you want it to be a knowledge or somebody give you something. Whatever comes up for you, that's your value.
Yeah, it's like that love language book, right? You got to know your love language to be able to know, because we don't all want to be treated the same. That
Right.
phrase that we teach kids, treat others how you want to be treated. No, because I know darn well I don't want to be treated in the same way that my husband wants. You feed him, he's happy. I need a little bit more than just food in my life. And it's the same way at work. We need to vet our employers and decide. Make a company list, literally make a list,
Yes.
come up with the research. Does this company value this? Then get micro with it. In this department, does this team foster that? And then we can see it. So I see we got our first question in the comments. So Monique says, should that be listed on our resume, LinkedIn profile, or both? And so if you're talking about your value proposition, I'm a big fan of taking objective statements off the resume, taking big, long paragraph summary statements off the resume, and having a very concise value proposition at the very top of your resume that tells people how to speak about you when you're not in the room. And so give them the answers, paint the picture for them. Who are you? What are you good at? And what are you going to help them solve? What are things that you feature as a leader that brings you some type of secret sauce that's going to make you feel different? And Monique, I'm going to pull up an example for you because I want you to, because sometimes it's just easier to have examples, right? So,
Yes. I'm a
um,
visual learner side. Look, that's
all
another
right.
thing
So,
you not knowing about yourself. Know what kind of learner you are, visual, listener, audible, or both, or hands-on. So that way you can explain that when you onboarding, you could be like, look, I'm a listener. So if you giving me visions, it's not gonna communicate to me well. Knowing that
Yeah.
about yourself is easier to communicate to the employee how you could onboard.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so she says she's a visual learner, and so you might want to DM me for some examples of this later then, instead of just auditory hearing it. But let me see.
Yes.
Let me see one that I recently worked on that I don't think somebody would be bothered that I share. Um, well, what would you say? How would you start off somebody? Like at the top of their resume. Well, you more so do coaching. So let me pull up one. Sorry, my computer's going slow because I'm streaming.
Thank you.
Okay. Hey, good morning, Erica. Okay, there's so many people in the comments right now. So as this is pulling up while my computer's gonna go so slow, I'm just gonna pop everybody up. So what else do people, while I'm trying to pull this example up for her, what else do people need to take into consideration about their time spent on their job search? Like, how many hours a day do you think somebody should be working on their job search when they are working full time? So, no, hey, I didn't see you there. Good morning.
This one again, I'm a big Lord, I'm my tongue getting tied. Component of knowing who you are, because it's very dependent. Because I work with moms that have little ones, some have teenagers that's at the house, so it depends on who you are and to determine how much time you spend. But the time should also consider self-care. Like a lot of people take that out. Like do it like they say it's a full-time job, act like it. If you want to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on your job search and take off on weekends, take off on weekends. Off the job. Don't even think about the job. Spend it with your family. If you want to work 4 hours in the morning, because that's where you have the most energy and you can put in the most time, do it in the morning. If you more good at night, do it at night, but make sure it aligns with who you are, because whatever you do, whatever brings you energy, it shows up in your job search. So with
Yep.
knowing your energy, knowing where you function the best, if you already at low energy and you still trying to put in applications, it will show up. You will just get more frustrated, more overwhelmed, more miserable. Instead of being focused, your mind is focused, your mindsets have to be right. You get up and you have a list of affirmations ready for you to get at it. Like, I'm the best woman for the job. My dream job is waiting for me. You get up with that pumped up and you doing that thing. Like, you get in there and you be like, I'm that woman. I'm getting my job today. My job is coming. Like, and you spend that time. When you see your energy is low, stop. Take a lunch break. Take a
Yeah,
break.
go for a walk, take a bubble bath, get the wine
Yes.
out.
Yes. And it's depending on what you like. Like, make sure your time, you're not getting this time back.
Yep.
Spend it with your family. Take your time with your family. Whatever you gotta do, and everybody gotta be on board. Everybody, the husband, the partner, the children. Mama need her time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Justin just said in the comments, the burnout is real. It sure is. So before we talk about that, Justin, I'm going to give Monique an example about how you can feature some of your values in your executive summary statement. So here's a client who she works for federal organizations. She's the E in DE&I. So human-centered change agent with a dynamic career steering organizations through complex transitions to build an equitable workplace. Skill that, and this is where my speech impediment comes out, so y'all bear with me. Inaugurating it means change, right? It's a big word for change. Initiatives that accelerate the achievement of business goals, ensure compliance, mitigate risk, and maintain company integrity. And then she goes on to feature some of her top skills top accomplishments. So that way the top 1/3 of her resume is branding material. So that way when the recruiter, the hiring manager is skimming, they're not going to miss the good stuff, the stuff that's most important to her. And what that does, Monique, is it attracts people who are attracted to heart-centered people who want an equitable workplace, who want to ensure that their company risk is mitigated and that their company has integrity. And that might just come down to they don't want to pay a fine from the federal government or lose their federal government contract. But hey, if she gets to go in there and ignite real change, that's the starting point. And so, Monique, thank you for having that statement and that, or that question. And yeah, on your resume and LinkedIn are sister sites, sister resources, marketing material. Your resume and LinkedIn profile are sisters. They're not copy and paste of each other. So your resume is going to be more like marketing collateral, geared toward the position you're going for, very future focused. And your LinkedIn profile is going to be a bit more robust. Where have you volunteered at? What are some stretch assignments you worked on? Your about section can say like, hey, when I'm not in the office, I like doing this. There's so many great things that you can do on LinkedIn that just aren't necessarily appropriate for that 7-second skim the recruiter is going to give you on your resume. But put your URL on your resume so they can go back and see who you truly are, how you write recommendations for other people, who have given you recommendations, the type of content you engage with on LinkedIn. So we got a couple people in the comments from Level Up in Tech. And one of the students messaged me over the weekend. I just did a training for them. And I said, just get engaged, just talk, comment on other people's posts. He got a message from somebody saying, hey, tell me more about Level Up in Tech. Come to find out, it's a recruiter. And he's thinking he's just boosting the boot camp up, right? Like, oh, it's such a great program. We learned this, we learned that. He got a job offer at the end of the call. And it's like 5 weeks into this program, you're of a 6-month program, and you got a job offer. Like it's really that easy and that hard. So I'm trying to find her original question on here. So your resume is one thing, but like spend more time on your LinkedIn. Like as a resume writer, I can say that yes, they're a foundation, but they're not the most important thing. But like the way that you are building relationships and fostering a community is going to make you a happier and more fulfilled person. You're going to be able to have more impact on your community because you're being a giver, and ultimately givers get. So you're going to reach your goals. And DM me afterwards and we'll talk about like how to use your transferable skills when you don't necessarily have experience. But I want to go back to what Justin was saying about burnout. We're right now on topic 2 of 3 when it comes to mindset. So the first one is know your value. The second one is put in the time. When we're talking about time, me and her, we're talking about using your time wisely, getting the most ROI for your time. And so we don't want to just be spraying and praying resumes, applying online, thinking that, oh, somebody is going to respond back. No, we want to be building community, putting ourselves out there, sharing our ups and downs, asking for, virtual coffees. So like, let's say, Jenea, share your story about how you got into coaching. It was by accident. Share how you stumbled upon this, and it was just because of an outreach. You can literally change your life with one outreach. So can you share that story?
Well, I came into coaching. I come from the mental health field, and I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I felt like I was limited to only teaching certain type of people. I work with men, women, children, and I knew that I didn't want to work with the children because when you work with the children, the parents don't want to get help, and usually it's parents then children. But I was starting to get frustrated, and I was like, God, please just show me what you want me to do. So I was on Facebook one day, and this lady came up. So I was reading her post, and I was like, oh, I want to get hired here. This sounds like something I want to do. I get to help people all over and all this, and I could pick what I want to work with and who I want to work with. So I reached out to her and she was like, well, I work with experienced people. I was like, experienced people? Well, I am experienced. I got mental health thing. Where I see my recipe, whatever. And so she sent me to this lady and she said she worked with beginner coaches. And I paid for the program thinking I was getting a certificate or something. And then I realized that I was actually trying to start my own coaching practice. And I was like, well, I was confused. But now I got another business that helps me at where I'm at. But that experience taught me a lot. So I don't count it as a defeat. I count it was a blessing because it showed me that there's other things out there, other opportunities out there that we don't know because of our own experience, our own environment. Like nobody was a coach in my family.
Yeah.
Nobody was doing this. So I wouldn't know this if I didn't stumble on Facebook. Is God put it in my mind. I don't even know what I was looking for. I just knew that I wanted something else than what I was doing.
Well, and for anyone who's ever worked in mental health before, like if you can help someone struggling with mental health issues, you damn sure can help somebody find a career. Like there's so many barriers when people are dealing with mental health. And we all are dealing with mental health. There's different levels to it, from extreme clinical support to somebody who might be in the middle, who just needs a little bit of help. And something that you mentioned is you went through a certification program and then you hired a business coach. And I have a business coach. And so Justin and everybody else watching, here are two coaches on this screen right now, and we both have coaches because it is really, really hard to grow. And it is really, really painful to make mistakes. And so if you can be mentored by someone who's been through it before, who can help you troubleshoot some things, who can act as a sounding board and bounce ideas off of you so you can align the word vomit that you're expressing. So if they can help you bring some cohesion and clarity and structure, you can move forward in a purposeful way. And that kind of brings me, go ahead.
I was just going to say that. And then the added part that my coach saw what I couldn't see. I only know what I know based on my experience, what I read, what I thought I knew, but my coach, you tell them your plan and they see your vision and they help you. Like how much you want to make. I'll be like, okay, what do you want to do? It narrowed my focus because at the beginning I was like, I want to help people with anxiety and depression because I know I'm good at it.
Yeah.
And then it went from that to I don't even want to do that because I'm still attracting everybody. I was attracting adult men and women.
Because we all have anxiety and depression.
Yes, and I was like, I said I don't want to do that. So I had to really sit in it because a lot, and it's same with careers. We'd be like, I really want this, and then, but when you really sit in it, it went from I want to help everybody with anxiety and depression to I just want to work with people that's just like me. So I was talking to myself when I was talking to my coach. I realized that I wanted to work with people that was just like me. So when I'm talking to people, I'm actually telling them what I would have tell myself when I was in that situation. So it's like, so people that's attracted to me is where I was, and they want to be where I am today. But I'm talking to me. Like when I hear them, I'm like, oh yeah, that was me. Like I'll be like,
so you can be a little bit more empathetic to the situation, and then they know they have the confidence that there is a way out because they saw you do it.
Yes.
Okay, so number one is understand your value. Number two is put in your time, and part of that is the time that you spend getting an ROI on it, and that may be investing. So we continue to say get help, offering help, providing support. That's an investment. That's a pay service. Sometimes you do have to pay to play. I will happily invest funds. I will not get my nails done. I will, not go and get a massage. I will not get junk food. And I love junk food. Love junk food.
Me too.
If that means that I can catapult my business, that means if I can reach my goals quicker, and most importantly, if that means I can avoid some of the pain that I ignorantly did in the past because I didn't know any better. But that brings us to number 3. Change is scary. And so when we're on the job search, a big part, and I know we're at our time. You got like 5 more minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Is to manage our fears. And one thing that I like to do is write my fears down, because when I say my fears out loud, I'm scared of losing someone that I love. But if I write it down, because of the type of learner that I am, just like we talked about before, it hits me different. And I've experienced a lot of loss. And I know during the pandemic, a lot of people have experienced a lot of loss. And there is a lot of that anxiousness in me sometimes when I start to feel overwhelmed. The certain thoughts creep into my mind. And when we're on the job search, that's the last thing we need is like any of those deep darkies popping up. Own them and then deal with them. I work with a lot of people who are 50 plus job seekers. When you're filling out that SWOT analysis that you can go and download in the featured section, real easy. What external threats do you perceive? Age discrimination. Okay, you can't change the fact that you're 50 plus, but what you can do is you can say, I'm concerned I will experience age discrimination. And then what you can do is research companies that have people who look like you in them.
Yes.
And then you can, in the interview, especially if you're interviewing with like a young 20-something-year-old, right? Where you're like, oh, fuck, it's over. No. Connect with them. If you think that somebody's going to think, oh, she doesn't know how to use a computer because she's 50 plus, then show that, speak to that, make a joke about it. Like, you can literally download Snapchat, create a video, put like the different stickers on it, upload to your face or to your LinkedIn, feature it. So if you're concerned about, oh, well, this young 20-year-old recruiter isn't going to want to hire me because I'm of this age, bullshit. If you're articulating what value you can bring and you're not set in your ways and crush any of those stereotypes, that's not going to be the problem. Right now, it's your mindset that's the problem.
Yes.
So let's say it out loud, write it down, and then proactively do things to combat that. Like, oh, cool. Like she's got a Snapchat or a TikTok or whatever. Like, I don't even have a TikTok. But like, you see what I mean? Okay, so what do you do? What do you do if somebody's saying like, I got fears? How do you combat them?
Yeah, that's a good one, what you said. I really like that one. I never thought about writing it down, my fears. But I do tell my clients to, I like to talk, obviously. I love talking. So once I hear it, I kind of be like, hold up. Okay, tell me that again. I call it beliefs and myths. Obliterating the objections. So some of them say, I'm too young. I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough degrees. All of that mindset.
I got a gap because I'm a mom.
Yes, and that the one you said about your mom. I don't think I'm gonna make enough money in what I'd love to do. Like, we don't know until, but when you say it to somebody that knows it, they know that's not correct. That's not true. And then the way we do it is, because I learned this technique when I was in doing mental health, is you say it, and then how do you know it's true? And then can you find evidence that it's true? Because a lot of us, the biggest one is, I don't have experience. Okay, tell me how you got your first job. Because I wonder if you had experience when you got your first job. You didn't. Tell me if they say I'm too old. Okay, so what is the fear about being too old? Because most of them is when it's the age is because they feel like the younger people will outdo them. Is okay, so why you trying to attract people that you trying to force them to like you? We're not trying to force nobody. Know who you are, what you stand for, and what you bring to the table. If you feel like you're too old, let's look for companies that gonna accept you. Your job search has to be attracting and repelling. Attract the
Yep.
ones you want and repel the ones you don't want. So if you're too old, let's look for companies, like you said, that want you. Because I'm not trying to convince you to like me. Boo boo, I'm coming like who I am.
Yeah. And that's something that so many people have been told for so long. In the interview, you need to wear a black blazer. Well, if you're going to be wearing like hot pink every single day to work, then why show up like that to the interview? Now, if you can articulate yourself effectively, then you're going to not only be remembered as the girl who had the hot pink blazer on, but you're also going to be remembered, wow, this was the best interview I ever had. And she wore hot pink. Like, the
Yes.
only reason why you're remembered and why these like dated stereotypes and what is right and what is wrong in the job search that exist are because we're not fundamentally getting down to the bottom of what it actually is. We need to
Yes.
be able to know our value first and foremost. We need to be able to be using our time wisely, and we need to be able to experience what our fears are. Rejection is just a natural part of the job search process. We're rejected, and when we're rejected, that means we learned something. And when we learn something, we can use that knowledge to go back and work closer to getting a yes. But what happens so often with women is we recluse. And
Yes.
now we feel some type of way. We're not good enough. I got to go for something lower because I keep getting rejected for this. No, that's when you dive
Lean
into what
into
you're
it.
good at.
Yes. Dive
Figure out how
into
to say it in a better way to make other people believe you to get that yes. That's exactly what stereotypically men do. And I know that there's a mix of men and women in the comments, but fellas, if you didn't know, Jenea, she focuses on working with moms, and so that's
yes.
part of where this conversation is to get today. So surprise,
Yes.
I didn't necessarily put that on the description of what we were going to
Yes.
be talking about today, but we can all benefit from this because men feel it too.
I was
The
just gonna
majority
say
of
that because the
yes,
mindset for men is, especially my race, because of the fact that they say we don't supposed to talk to nobody.
mm-hmm.
We don't need to tell nobody how we feel. That's not being a man. You supposed to hold your feelings in. I got that from the mental health field. Don't I mean how I had more I work with more women because of
Yeah,
that. But then the men would be like, "Why are you getting counseling? She got worse." Like because of the fact that and then the men would come up and I need to tell you this about her, but they keep their feelings in because that's part of society telling men not to say what they're supposed to say.
yeah. I work with men primarily. Like the majority of my clients are men, and I know it rocks their confidence. And like so often, I'll tell them like, "You got an interview with the hiring manager?" So they've already determined that you're exactly what they're looking for. So now you're just going in and having a conversation. And then like you can see like you're right. And I'm like, you've been putting on a front this whole entire time? Like I'm thinking like, man, you feel so confident and really like it's just being hidden inside.
Yes.
When you're on your job search, own it. If you don't feel comfortable for whatever reason to talking to somebody else about it, whether that be your culture, your pride, whatever, tell it to yourself. But I promise you that as soon as you tell it to somebody else, that shame washes away from you.
Yes.
If you coming from mental health, you know this. When you finally confide in someone else and say it out loud, it no longer has power over
Over
you.
you. It feel like a
And it's,
burden been
yep,
lifted off. Like man, it's like I was blind, but now I see, baby.
yeah, yeah. And mental health is a major factor for men. Like there's so much pressure on men to be the provider, to you know, have whatever type of job that they're supposed to have with this picket fence and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And it's important. And so that's part of owning our fears is and having that mindset ready for the job search, because if we feel fearful during an interview, we aren't going to come across as confident as we would otherwise need to be. And so we need to address these things beforehand and then move on. And when we are rejected, which is going to happen, we need to feel it. Man, that fucking sucked. Like, all right, let me crack open this bottle of wine, or let me go for a jog, you know, let me just take a break because I feel a little defeated. Let me have a bad day. If for any of you with kids, you ever read The Grumpy Monkey? It's okay to be grumpy. You'll feel better soon. Like, that's exactly it. Get back up and then get going. You know, you don't want to sulk for too long, because then that comes, you know, more on the clinical side of sometimes reaching depression. And if it does happen, seek help. Through this pandemic, there's so many different affordable apps and services out there that if we're dealing with extreme mental health concerns or even moderate, like, it's going to affect us. We need to be a holistic person to be in the right mind frame to go through change, because change is scary. Change is hard, and rejection sucks. And so I know we went over by 11 minutes, 12 minutes now, but if you've tuned in, thank you so much. Honestly, I haven't done LinkedIn Lives in the past couple of weeks. I just canceled them because I just been so overwhelmed with schools being shut down. Like, my son's not here today because school's finally back open, but it's exhausting to juggle a business and a kid. It's exhausting to juggle a job search and a kid. And so what are your final thoughts for anybody in the audience right now who, let me switch our sides because I want to bring you up on the big screen. What do you want the viewers to take away with this conversation today about they're juggling a lot? We all got a lot of responsibilities, dealing with a lot of things, and juggling a job search. You take it away. Close out the stream.
Okay. So if anything you took away from today, I want you to understand that you have to be clear on who you are. So don't do it backwards. Don't try to attract the job. Know who you are first. Know your values, your non-negotiables, how much you want to get paid, what you stand for. That means your branding. Do you want to be known for being the supervising tech, or do you want to be known for being excellent at one? Just pick one skill that you want to be known for in that industry that you want to take into another company, and utilize that and look for that company. So attract and repel, so you can find a job that you love, and then know what you bring to the table. Know that you the shit and bring it. Like, I mean, don't hesitate. Like, know it. Like, if you gotta say affirmations in the morning, be like, God, look, you made me be the best woman in the world. Look, you come in that when you get called on an interview, you gonna be sitting down. This is how I have interviews, y'all. I used to sit back, have my foot crossed. I'd be like, okay, so what's going on? Like, tell me about it. Because I knew, like, I'm the shit. If you don't hire me, that's shame on you. Because I know my skills will go somewhere else. So shame on you. That's how you get more calls. Because you bring that energy. They feeding off of your energy. So you coming up in there and you trying to be perfect. Yeah, you got to practice your interview. But you go up in there and you know that you know who you are, what you bring to the table, and what you stand for. They already did their research on you. They just want to bring the energy. That's why you have to stay with your mindset, focus on the positive throughout it. I know, Monica, I saw that you put rejection, the thought of rejection. Don't think of the rejection. Focus on the where you want to be, the position. See yourself in the position. See yourself doing the job, and just focus on that. So when the rejection comes, you just know that was not the job for you. Just envision yourself in the position and the role you want. That's it. Don't worry about the rejection, because you go feed back more rejection, and you go feed into that belief that I don't know what it is. Maybe you don't feel like you're good enough, but you will feed into whatever belief that you have already. If you feel like you're a failure, the rejection just go re-emphasize that. So focus on what you see yourself doing. All right. I think that's all.
All right. Well, we think that's all. So for all of you tuning in today, we appreciate you being a guest, being active in the comments, sharing your insights. Now, if you're on your job search, look at the people who are in the comments and connect with one another. Hey, David, I saw that you were on 𝐸𝐸𝐻 and Jenea's LinkedIn Live this morning. Would love to connect. I also agree. Mindset is, such a powerful tool. And then you just, if David has 1,000 connections, you now have 1,000 more second connections. Or if Tegan has 20,000 connections, now you got 20,000 more second connections.
Yes.
And that's the power of cultivating relationships and using your time wisely. Get the most ROI in the time. It's one thing to get a confidence boost listening to this. Take it to the next level, connect with these people who are also engaging on this stream, and boom, now you got that value, that cherry on top value. So I appreciate all of you. If any of you need any support, reach out to either of us. We're here to help, and enjoy the rest of your week.